Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can come on in and get caught up on some of the latest news involving our favorite team in the National Football League. Of course, it's the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes and has subscribed to the channel. If you haven't already, I would really like it if you could. We are inching ever so closely to 6,000 subscribers. I can't thank you enough for all of the support you have given our little show, and I really thank all of you who jump into the viewer comments and make your voices heard. That's what we're here for, folks. Let's get the conversation going in the viewer comment section. Hey, coming up on today's show, hey, minicamp is over. The final quarterback stats are in, but it's one defensive player to me that really stood out over the last few days. Hey, how about this? We got to hear from the coaches as well, and there are two guys on offense that they just could not stop talking about. We'll let you know who's shining the most. Now that minicamp is over, CBS Sports is laying out their best case and worst case scenarios for the Browns quarterback situation, and I tend to agree. And then down in the viewer comments, apparently even a video game knows which rookie quarterback the Browns should have drafted first. But first things first, minicamp is over. Now, yesterday was a reduced minicamp, so the quarterbacks got less reps, and it was pretty quick. It was a quick workout. But there's Deontay Johnson one-handing it over there. There's some nice things again said about him today. There's Joe Flacco in the pocket, and then Denzel Ward making a nice play. But that's all fine and dandy. But I know what everybody wants to talk about. It's the quarterbacks. And now these are the stats from yesterday. This is just yesterday alone. Remember, reps were reduced. Joe Flacco, 2 for 7, no touchdowns. Shedeur Sanders, 7 for 9 after coming off that 8-9 day. No touchdowns. Kenny Pickett had a good day, everybody. 8 of 11. Now, this is 7 on 7 and 11 on 11 combined. That's where all these stats come from. Kenny Pickett, 8 of 11, and the only touchdown of the day. Dylan Gabriel also putting up solid numbers. 10 of 13. 0 touchdowns, though. So, where does that leave us? ESPN Cleveland now with the final stats for minicamp. And there they are. Joe Flacco, 18 of 35, 2 touchdowns. Shedeur, 41 of 53, 8 incompletions. That is pretty impressive. 9 touchdowns and a pick. Kenny Pickett, 38 for 63, 7 TDs. And then Dylan Gabriel, 48 of 83 for 8 touchdowns. Now, I don't know what you can read into this or what you can't read it. Kevin Stefanski, he keeps telling us don't read anything into anything. But I'm sorry, man. 38 of 63 and 48 of 83. I don't think I'm putting that on my resume, either one of those. But, we just don't know all of the the situations they were in and what it's just tough to tell. Now Sanders, he was going against the twos, and so it's not like everybody could say, oh well, Shedeur's probably going against the fourth stringer. He's not. He worked his way up there, and so those, you can't argue. Those numbers are pretty impressive. And he's throwing in the tight windows. I know there's not, a pass rush all the time, but typically he's got, there's coverage, there's cornerbacks, and there's a video out there yesterday. He threw into an extremely tight window on the sideline. And it's an NFL throw, folks. And so say what you want, folks, but to me, the cream is rising here. And Shedeur Sanders is really, really doing everything he can possibly do at this point to earn a spot on the field at some point this season. And now the rookies will still have that one final OTA next week, and but that'll be behind closed doors. No media, no this, so we won't know. That'll all be in the lab. They'll be cooking in the lab, and we won't get to see what's going on. But that's part of this, folks. There's a lot of this that we just haven't seen. But what we saw on the field, Shedeur really held his own. And I'll say it, Dylan Gabriel had a good day yesterday, and so it ebbs and flows. But so we'll see. I'll tell you, the one guy who I don't know. Maybe he's fallen a little bit with Joe Flacco. We'll talk about more that in a minute. But let's talk about the coaches. Said the coaches. So his defensive line coach Jacques Césaire got up there and he said Mason Graham has the recipe to be an NFL stud. And so he said he's doing all the extra work. He's in early. He's doing everything. He kept talking again about how they want to attack and get upfield. But I'll tell you what. I teased this. This is the one guy who I think has really stood out. Like every video you watch, any defensive video you watch, Alex Wright always seems to either be making the play, or getting in a quarterback's face. I mean, this defensive front, folks, with him and Miles and Mason Graham, and if you can get Michael Hall healthy and out there, and and these other guys that. I'll tell you, man, this defensive front, man, it's really shoring up to be something special. Okay, cornerbacks coach, Brandon Lynch also. Now, first of all, this guy might be the nicest guy on the planet. I just want to go and hang out with him at his house, and just even he's so nice and he's so respectful, but he also wants to make you run through a wall at the same time. I don't know how he does it, but man, he is just such a nice guy. I just want to go hang out with him. Anyway, he's talking about attacking first. He calls them the tip of the spear. He says they want to be the guys that are attacking. He said they've been using the jugs guns a lot. Remember we talked about all the interceptions, all the missed opportunities they had last year. He said they're doing 50 a day each player on the jugs. Practicing catching. And the old joke, well, every time you see a cornerback, drop an interception, you're like, well, the reason if he's a wide receiver, if he could catch, he'd be a wide receiver. And so some of that might be at play, but listen to the three, this is their motto. This is what they want to be known for. Physical violence, great effort, swag and passion. All right. They said physical violence. I was like, geez. Then safeties coach Ephraim Banda took to the podium, and he said that it's time for Ronnie Hickman and Grant Delpit to really step up. He says they have a diverse room with the rookie. They have the vets who have been here for a while, but then you also have some guys they signed who are in. So you got kind of like three categories of player in the room this year for the first time in a while. And he says he's teaching it from the ground up, since everybody just showed up. And they want guys who can play different spots because he knows injuries are going to happen, And then wide receiver Chad O'Shea took them. This is where the two guys on offense that everybody just kept talking about. The name that keeps coming up is Jamari Thrash. He had great things to say about Jamari Thrash. Remember, we were talking about him yesterday. Remember, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago, said he could be that slot sleeper. And he's doing everything he can to win that job right now. He says even out of the building, he did everything he needed to do to maximize his opportunity, and he's done it. And so the other guy everybody keeps talking about is Harold Fannin Jr. on offense. They said, the tight ends coach Christian Jones says they don't think he dropped a pass the entire minicamp, and so that's impressive. And so this guy, between him and Judkins and Sampson, we get that running game going and they get these tight ends going. I mean, the court, it will take so much pressure off whoever our quarterback ends up being. But the coaches with a lot of great things to say about both Jamari Thrash and Harold Fannin Jr. And so now my final thoughts on minicamp. Here's what I think, folks. After watching all this, and say what you want with the quarterbacks and all the, who completed this pass and who threw into this tight window and who was incomplete here and the quarterback trackers. It's a lot of fun. It's all cool. But it's not going to get serious until I'll say even get past training camp and get into these combined practices. And then, dude, preseason games, I can't, I said this a while, I used to never care about preseason, but this is the first time I think, and I don't know how long, I am going to be watching preseason games. It's insane. It's going to be must-see TV to see what each of these guys do. But here's the thing. Here's the best thing about what's going on right now with the Browns. This team already seems to be gelling. When you look at these videos, they look motivated. They look like they're having fun. They look like they want to be playing together. I mean, it just really looks like they've put last year behind them. I think this has a lot to do with Deshaun Watson not being in the mix. I think that was such a heavy burden for that whole team with him there. Not just, the way he played, the bag that he got, but also the off-the-field stuff. I think it weighed on a lot of people. All of that's gone, and man, oh man, it just seems like everybody out there, there's just a different vibe about this team. And folks, look, the Bengals I think their number one draft pick left camp. They're getting Hendrickson in. Pittsburgh's a mess. I mean, come on, I mean, Baltimore's Baltimore, but hey, anything is possible, folks. I'm so tired of hearing 0-6 the first 6 games. I don't want to hear it. Anything is possible. Just go and look at your survivor pools from last year. I'm telling you, man, this team it's setting up for what could be if they can keep going the way they're going, man, they're going to roll right into the season. Now, CBS Sports came out with their best and worst case quarterback scenarios for the Browns. And when I looked at it, I was like, okay, yeah, I think it sort of makes sense. So here's what they said. Best case scenario, what are Cleveland's younger quarterbacks? Now they're saying Pickett or Shador emerges. We'll see. Worst case scenario, quantity doesn't equate to quality at quarterback, and the Browns cycle through passes. I mean, and you could say that about any team. I mean, if you have 4 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. And so this is where we're going to be now heading into training camp, folks, is who is it going to be that climbs the ladder and takes the reins and takes over? That is what we will need to be paying attention to going forward. And so the best case scenario, yeah, and we said it yesterday. I think we need to get younger at quarterback faster. And unfortunately, Pickett is in that conversation. I mean, Flacco is not a long-term thing, but the thing with Pickett is they didn't pick up the 5th-year option. So someone has to emerge as the quarterback, and I'm not saying it has to be week 1, but I think Pickett has a really good chance. And Flacco struggled, man. He struggled these last couple days. Maybe it's because he didn't get the reps. But we talked about it. When you get your chance, you have to produce. Shador talked about it, and that's what he did. I mean, and I'll say Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett did it yesterday too. So Flacco was the only one that seemed to struggle, but we'll see. There's still a lot to happen between now and even that first preseason game. And by the time we get to September, who knows where we're going to be. Now, one thing where we're always sure of is that the viewer comments are always on the mark. And today we are going to start with Mitch Rapp 82. And this is great. He says, why are we all reading into the quarterback battle when Kevin Stefanski clearly said, don't read anything into the quarterback battle? He says, they will not give us any clues until preseason play. That's when the rubber meets the road. And you're exactly right. Just to piggyback off of my comment on our best and worst case scenario. Yeah, all of this is fine and dandy, the stat trackers and everything, but it's not really, the separation won't happen. It's almost, let's say, it's like moving day on a golf tournament. Like Saturday won't come until we're going to be, deep into August. That'll be moving day, right? Down there. That's when we'll really start paying attention to things. Okay, Mr. Zola X, but it's Zola with an X. Pretty sweet. I love this, cracked me up. In the CFB 25 video game, the ratings were Shador 94, Gabriel 86. So if the Browns would have looked at that, they may have taken Shador in the 3rd and Dylan Gabriel in the 5th. Maybe that's all they needed to look at, but I thought that was great. But I mean, those games are so true to life anymore. I mean, who's to argue? All right. Daryl Herman, 916. People forget Shador threw against the Heisman Trophy winner and also should have gotten the top DB award, Travis Generational Talent, a.k.a. GT Hunter, in practice every day for 4 years. There's something to be said about that. I mean, he's throwing, and now he gets to go up against this great defensive front. Myles Garrett's over there. You got Denzel Ward at cornerback. I mean, he's going up against this defense every day in practice. He's only, I'll say everybody. I'm telling you, folks, this defense, there's something this year. They got a chip on their shoulder after last year. And then, our offense going against that defense, it's only going to make them better. Same thing. But that was a great point. Shador going up against Travis every day in practice. And then Lax Alice 77 says, all I can say is Shador is impressive and thrilling so far. And I think a lot of people can say that, Lax, because he's done everything that he's needed, that that has, that everything that he needs to do at this point, he's done. He's doing. And so looking good. And to me, like I said, I'm just glad we've got a competition in the quarterback room for the first time in forever. And it's going to be interesting to see. And I don't think, and I know, listen, I know Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last. This is a little different. I think even if Flacco or Pickett are first coming out of the gate, I think we're going to have to get to those rookies sooner than later. Okay, that's going to do it for today, folks. We'll be back with you over the weekend. We got there's so much to talk about. I can't fit it all into one show. Okay, have a great Friday. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.